Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out of this world story from rSpace. Cheating is absolutely devastating, and it can cause massive ripple effects in your life as well as others. It's hard to look past ourselves and the gut-wrenching pain we're experiencing in those first moments of uncovering infidelity. But it's often a huge storm that takes down more than one house. Today on rSpace, we see just how devastating the storm can be. Up first, cheaters notoriously don't clear their search histories. Monkey branching is cheating. This is what happened to me. About 10 months ago before the wedding, she had cold feet and we almost called things off. She said she wasn't sure about getting married. She couldn't delineate a clear reason why. We talked a lot. I gave her space. She went to stay with her parents for a few days. After a week or two of this hesitancy, we had a conversation and she said that she absolutely wanted to be together. We ended up getting married in the summer of 2021. A couple months pass and she starts a new job. Then somebody else starts. This new guy who she thinks is really funny. She tells me a lot of stories about him. I start to get a weird feeling. I meet this guy one time, an after work thing, and he just gives off scumbag vibes. A couple weeks later, I'm working late, she's out to drinks with coworkers, and she's out later than expected. We shared our locations on her phone. I started to get a little nervous, so I checked in, but she didn't text back. So that's when I check her location, and she's at McDonald's. She sat there for almost an hour. Then she finally pulls back to my place, but she's sitting outside for probably half an hour. I take my dog out, and it turns out that guy drove her home. It's just the two of them sitting in my driveway, chatting away. I walk over, and she gets out of the car. He tries to shake my hand. When she comes in, I said that was totally over the line and unacceptable, and I don't want them spending time one-on-one like that. She seems remorseful, says that she overstepped a line and didn't mean anything by it. I believe her because prior to that I had no reason to really suspect any infidelity from her. A week or two later, toward the end of April, she goes on a weekend trip to Colorado with some friends who had moved there. She comes back and she's cold and distant. I tried talking to her, but she goes to bed early. 3 days later, it was my second to last day of work at a particular job that had been difficult and frustrating. After my shift, we all go out for drinks and I invited her to come. She comes, dressed in sweatpants and looking sloppy. She's quiet and not her normal, bubbly self. And frankly, she's acting a bit rude. At the end of the night, we get home. I ask her what's up. It was like pulling teeth. She finally said that she did not want to be together. I ask her why, and she says she doesn't really know. She doesn't think we're a good fit, blah, blah, blah. I keep asking her a ton of questions. Is she a lesbian? Is there another guy? She says she doesn't know what she wants out of life and can't imagine putting me through having kids if she's not certain. I'm up all night trying to talk to her. She just falls asleep. The next morning, she leaves. Her Google account was logged in on my computer, and I found searches like, ended my marriage for another man. I found her searching for their astrological sign, compatibility, and song lyrics all over the past month, looking this guy up on Google. She came to get her stuff one day while I was at work. She left one single mug, a Christmas mug, that said joy. When we moved into our apartment, we had found a sticky note on the wall that just said, yikes. We left it up because it was kind of a dingy apartment, and we thought it was funny. She thought it would be funny, or maybe her affair partner thought it would be funny, to leave that joy mug on my counter, with the yikes sticker stuck on it. I texted her asking what the F that was about. She said she just thought it would be funny. The divorce went pretty quickly and smoothly. It was a no contest because we don't have children. She had no interest in having our dog. She left the apartment to me and basically all my stuff. In that regard, she was merciful. I remember in the process of doing this, I asked her if she thought I'd never find out that she cheated on me. She said she didn't cheat on me. I told her, well, thank you for leaving. I didn't know what kind of person you were, and I would never want to be married to a person that sleeps around, like you. You are a monkey brancher, and I can't imagine a relationship would ever go well between somebody who doesn't respect marriages, frequents strip clubs, and somebody who would leave their husband. This is just my first time telling my story here. We have been in no contact since August, and frankly, I don't think she cares. And I'm slowly coming around to not giving a crap whether she cares or not. It took me so long to not just be in total shock. My New Year's resolution is to leave her in the past and stop thinking about her and focus entirely on myself. Easier said than done. Since then, I've lost 20 pounds, I've been hitting the gym several times per week, and I'm seeing muscle gains. I joined a Bible study, I go to church every week, I traveled to Colorado myself with my brother, and I've now booked a trip to Europe. I had 6 weddings this year to go to, including my sister's. Those were very difficult in light of what happened, but I went to all of them. My new job has been awesome. I've gotten a lot of dates, but I just haven't found anybody that I feel compatible with yet. I'm scared that I won't be able to find that. Part of me is glad she left. I'm not sure I would have had the strength to leave without knowing she was pursuing something else. If she was disrespectful enough to pursue something else, she was unworthy of my time or effort. The community has some reactions. Tassac Woke says, the failure rate for her and her new boyfriend is 73%. You just got rid of some dead weight. Keep doing you. You'll be just fine with finding a real wife. Fluid Push 3419 chimes in. I'm sure it hasn't been easy from what you've described, but the narrative shows that you've dealt with it better and faster than most and that you're on the right track. I can't find any advice to give you. Just don't think you have to be with someone. You don't have to put up with anyone's character flaws. Don't go further with people who have traits that make you uncomfortable. Your goal in life is not to be with someone, but to be happy. You can and should do this on your own. If you find someone you can share it with, it's good, but not necessary. Best wishes for the new year. I'm sorry, OP. That's never easy. And guaranteed she was cheating on you. I would definitely stop caring about what she's doing, or if she cares or ever cared. Don't let that take up space in your brain anymore. Focus on what's going well for you. You're taking care of yourself and you love your new job. These are great things that are setting you up for success. You don't want to be with someone who wasn't sure if they wanted to be with you in the first place. Update. Today is a big day for us all. I usually don't give a crap about New Year's, but after a long, difficult year, I think we all deserve to feel excitement about a new hope on our horizon. I'm hopeful that 2023 brings us all peace, healing, and happiness. I hope that we all find strength within ourselves to propel ourselves forward. Curiosity and creativity to seek new avenues in our lives. Perseverance and self-forgiveness on weak days. Elation and joy on our strong days. Courage to go where we haven't gone before. Peace to confront our demons. Power to overcome them. Love in every place and every face. Authenticity within not only those around us, but true, genuine authenticity to rediscover who we are and the grace to put that person on display for the world to get to know. May 2023 be filled with adventure and growth, and may we all climb out of this dreaded abyss and discover not only who we are, but who we were meant to be. Let us leave our traitors in 2022. The cowardly, the inauthentic, the selfish can stay behind us. Let us find gratitude for everything we do have, including the lessons their treachery taught us. Lastly, let us leave our shackles behind us in 2022. I deleted all remaining pictures and texts. Let us leave behind our need for revenge, our need to check in on those people, our need for externalized closure, our anger, our sadness. Let's try to let go, surrender to the present and to our destiny. Let's let go of our sinking ships so we can swim. Let's look forward courageously and spread our wings and soar. This is my prayer for us all in 2023. Happy New Year to my friends here. We have a reaction from the community. 7Lie Scoobed says, wishing all betrayed brighter days in 2023 and beyond. After suffering through some of the worst depths of despair and betrayal, we deserve the best and to feel joy and light in our lives. Cheaters just aren't compatible with joy and light, and they belong in the past. Eureka! Excellent way to start off the new year, OP. You're absolutely and totally right. Leave all the crap behind in 2022. Time to make space for beautiful and bright things ahead. Nothing but up from here, OP. What did you leave behind in 2022? Next up, remember kids are smarter than they look. Why it's important to tell the kids the truth. I'm not the best writer, but I recently found out the true cause of my parents' divorce, and a lot of horrible crap makes a little more sense now. I'm a man in my late 30s who was raised by his mother. I was pretty young when my parents divorced, around 7 or 8. Over the course of my life, my father grew more and more distant. It always felt like he resented my siblings and I. He has since grown into a bitter, hateful man that I do not have contact with. Here's the thing though. My whole life I thought my parents divorced because my father refused to pick me up from school when I was sick, while my mother left out the part about her cheating on my dad, to the point she was making him sleep on the couch while another man was in her room. I didn't know that happened until an older family member told me recently. I grew up thinking my parents divorced over me. My father was reminded of her infidelity when he sees us. If I was told at 12 or 13, I could have talked to him and told him what she did is unforgivable. Instead, he always assumed we were poisoned against him. These days, I have no contact with any family member on his side because they hated my mom. You may think you're helping your kids by hiding the truth from them. You aren't. Anybody out there whose partner is unfaithful, talk to the kids. My mother's actions destroyed my family. My father's inaction destroyed his sanity and our relationship. Update or whatever. To those of you saying to talk to my father, he is too far gone, let me list some of his chart toppers for you all. 1. Took off across the country on my 10th birthday. 2. Abandoned my half-sister to her drug addict mother, who then sold her body as a child to buy drugs. 3. Sided with a pedophile against my little sister in court. Pedo did die in prison, so that's good at least. 4. Refused to meet his grandchildren and told my sister he will never do so. 5. Loves using racial slurs and does rank people based on a color wheel. So those are just his chart toppers. For as crap as my mom was, she never said much about him. He put himself into no contact for being an a-hole. This post was just me realizing where the a-hole seed got planted. Trust me when I say this man is past redemption and a toxicity I do not need added to my life. It's a bummer because it didn't have to be that way. He is what happens when you embrace all the dark feelings. So no, I'm not assassinating his character. He loaded his character into a truck and suicide bombed it into us kids. The community has some thoughts. Fragrant Spray starts us off. Your mother wasn't interested in preserving your relationship. Her decisions were all about self-preservation. Your father should have been upfront with you. If not at the time, then at least when you were around 18. The OP replies, as I got older, it became more and more apparent how self-serving and not present my mother was. It all started with my father not wanting to damage her reputation. No reply at all 817 says, I tried to protect my sons as well. They were older and knew she cheated, but had no idea the extent. I kept quiet, and the NEX poisoned my son little by little against me with so many lies. She started giving him some of the money I pay her in spousal support. As a serial cheater she didn't deserve. That was her way back into his life. As a narc, she was very proficient at twisting things just enough with a little detail to make him believe impossible things. My son and I have been reconnecting recently, and he's been telling me all the next lies. I knew she was a piece of crap, but had no idea how bad she's gotten. She had somehow convinced my son all of our arguments and her cheating were my fault. When talking to my son, I stayed calm and reminded him how his mother acted, and if he remembered her actions, not her words, who was always the level-headed parent, and who was the unstable one. Every big lie she told him was 180 from the truth. Wow, OP. Thank you for sharing this, and thank you for bringing this perspective to light. I think the truth is really important to tell children. Children can tell when something's going on, and they can sense when things are off. And just like you, they're often left feeling like problems in the family are their fault because things aren't properly communicated with them. The treatment that your father and his side of the family has given you and your siblings is not at all fair. Being reminded of what happened when they look at you is no excuse. You didn't do anything wrong. The relationship they had with you should not have been ruined because of what your mother chose to do. I'm sorry you had to live with lies for so long. And I'm sorry that had devastating and lasting effects on the relationship you have with your father. Do you have a similar story? Let us know below. Lastly, don't believe those crocodile tears. Husband of 13 years cheated for 2 years with coworker. I can't believe I'm writing this, but here I am. My 37 female husband, 38 male, of 13 years had an affair for the last 2 years. I found out last week, the night before my grandmother's funeral. I never in my wildest dreams would have thought my husband would be capable of such deception. I'm heartbroken. The husband of my husband's affair partner reached out to me on Facebook Messenger to tell me about the affair. I was 2 hours away in another state for the funeral when I got the news and did not want to confront my husband via phone or text. So I kept myself together as best I could for the funeral, then drove home to confront him. I knew things between us weren't good. In early 2021, I noticed the shift in my husband's behavior and general attitude, which I thought was untreated depression from our beloved dog dying in July of 2020. He stopped being loving and kind, and we were fighting a lot more. He did not help me around the house. He called me the C word occasionally during arguments, and in general was a black cloud in our home. I only felt relief when he was traveling for work and I had the house to myself. I was so exasperated that I began looking into possibly leaving him around November of 2021 because I was so unhappy and felt taken advantage of for all that I do in our home. We don't have children, but I work a full-time job and did 85% of the upkeep of the house, running errands, etc. When he wasn't traveling for work, his only real chore was to play with and exercise our dogs, and he did his own laundry. I washed my own laundry and all the towels, blankets, and bedding. My husband also during this time began having bizarre physical pains and ailments. He thought he was having a heart attack and would go to the emergency room only to find out it was a panic attack. Then the pains would resurface in a different area, headaches, stomach aches, rashes, etc. Once a doctor performed tests and cleared him. The pain would go away and a few weeks later, it would pop up as something else. I told him to seek therapy for potential anxiety, depression, and possibly hypochondria. He refused and was convinced he was dying of cancer that the doctors were dismissing or not taking seriously. This became increasingly frustrating to live with and deal with on a daily basis. When the affair partner's husband reached out to me, I suddenly knew that all my husband's supposed illnesses and pains were likely a response to the guilt and stress he was feeling by carrying on this affair and being terrified to get caught. He carried on an affair with this woman for 2 years, having sex while on a work trip, that's when it started apparently, and then even going as far as to coordinate days off and meet at hotels to have sex. I've been told this only happened twice. Once she paid for, and once my husband paid for on a credit card I don't have access to. He was communicating with this woman via a fake Facebook Messenger account. My husband doesn't have a real Facebook account, and they would send explicit photos to each other and sometimes have cyber sex after I went to bed early. After I confronted him about the affair, he came clean and told me he also was worried about contracting an STD and had even more medical tests that I didn't know about because he had convinced himself he didn't have an STD. We'd had very little sex since 2021, and he says it's because he was afraid of giving me something. I'm not only devastated about the affair, but how he ended up treating me during the 2 years this was going on. Not only am I betrayed, but I feel taken advantage of for all the stuff I did for our home to keep it clean and nice while I still worked at my job. We actually moved states and no longer live anywhere near this woman since about May of this year, but they have been in contact since we moved. She had a work trip to this area and they did meet in early December. My husband says she insisted on getting a hotel, but he said no and they just sat and talked in the car. I contacted the affair partner about this and her story lines up with his. I am so upset and hurt. I've been crying every day and haven't been able to eat much. This morning I made an appointment next week to see a therapist and I made an appointment for a divorce attorney consultation in the upcoming weeks. My husband says he's sorry, he'll do anything to keep me, and wants to be a better husband. He's been crying. The usual lines I'm sure many women are fed when their spouses are caught. He says I'm not to blame for any of this, but he can't give me a reason for the affair. And I just don't think I can get over not only the lying and the deception, but how I was treated for almost 2 full years. I even asked him 6 months ago if he would get marriage counseling with me, and he told me to my face that I was the one who needed therapy. I have the support of my family and some close, trusted friends, but I live thousands of miles away from everyone, so I'm out on my own here. We just bought our home last year when we moved, and I just don't know what getting out of this mortgage is going to cost us. Because of my grandmother's passing, I'm set to inherit around a decent chunk of money. Not 6 figures, but it is slightly more than what I make in a year. In hopefully 6 to 8 weeks, when the death certificates arrive and we, myself and my parents, can close out her accounts. I will not be putting this money anywhere with his name on it, or where he can access it. Obviously, I'm going to disclose this to the attorney I'm planning to speak with. I feel like over the last 2 years, I've been whittled away and this affair has now completely broken me. I know I can do this on my own, but I've been with this person for 15 years, the man who was supposed to be my best friend in the world. I've put my career on the back burner so that he can pursue his, and I've moved around the country for him to do this. I'm terrified of making the wrong decision, but my instinct tells me to leave this lying liar who lies. The community reacts. Joliesia says, trust your gut. Think about this. He would still be treating you horrible and continuing the affair now if not caught. Free yourself from him. He is not the man you married. Key Nikki 7 says, crocodile tears. Would he still be this sorry if she wasn't inheriting money now, OP? Please get out and don't look back. Protect yourself and your assets. You deserve better. Sam Morgan 01 says, 2 years is 2 years too many. Heal and find somebody worthy. This is too long and too calculated to put a band-aid on. Quite obviously, divorce and therapy as you stated. As there are no kids, go no contact once you're out. He doesn't deserve to be in your life any longer than necessary. Tersher78 says, there is no reason to stay in a location that only brings you sadness. Surround yourself with your support and healthy people. The few dollars you will lose in selling your house are a drop in the pan of the next several decades of your life. You won't ever see him the same way after 2 years of this. And sadly, he's got so many other issues that he can't address which will lead him to not be capable of helping you heal. It's time to move on and focus forward in your life and let go of this disgusting past. The OP replies, thank you. My parents are actually moving close to this area in 2024 when they retire, so I won't be here solo forever, but I do not want to stay in this particular town. We moved here for her husband's job and there's nothing tying me here, and honestly, I hate it. So if I move an hour west to an area I like more, I will only be 45 minutes away from where my parents will end up in a few years. Larshul says, he calls you the C word? I'd divorce him for that alone. Then there's the cheating. He didn't confess and likely never would have. AP's husband informed you. No kids. Time to call the lawyers and have him served. The OP replies, I know. I'm ashamed and horrified to admit I did not leave after he used the C word repeatedly and after I asked him to stop. I didn't think I could financially afford to leave at the time and was hoping to give it one more year to get my ducks in a row and to see if he would change. He didn't change. I discovered the affair, and now here I am. I did get a nice raise in September, and with my inheritance, I know I can support myself now, and I don't have to put up with being called names and being his maid now. Oh, OP, I'm so sorry you're going through this. This is so not fair to you, and shame on him. I'm so sorry for the loss that you're experiencing. These are huge blows. If he really cared about you, he wouldn't have even done something like that. At least we know his guilt is literally eating him up and destroying his body. That's what you get when you decide to act selfishly and make stupid and reckless decisions. Despite the death of your grandmother, you're about to come into contact with some serious money and assets that your husband does not at all deserve to have his hands on. Let him go. He was doing that for 2 years behind your back and treating you like absolute dirt. He was crying because he got caught and can't manipulate and abuse you anymore. Get out of there and leave him with his anxiety and panic attacks. Hopefully the attacks take him out. Share your thoughts below. Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. We'd hate for you to miss out. If you want to listen to more stories from me, check out our lounge where I feature a larger variety of non-cheating related stories. See you there.